Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network. We're GABNET, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Facebook group called Star Trek Discovery. Somebody posted, this was the worst episode ever. It was just a bunch of people on the ship talking. and I just have to say...
Have they not seen Star Trek before?
Yeah, I just have to say, if you are looking for action and explosions, you are likely to be disappointed by Star Trek. May I recommend another viewing of Star Wars?
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern. Join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
So I just had to bear it as it was trying to heal. And then I would be sleeping on my stomach, and then I would turn around, and it had adhered itself to the sheets. And so whatever scab I had... Are you ready for this, folks? Whatever scab I had would get ripped off, and I'd be bleeding like a stuck pig. And so I had to finally, you couldn't put a Band-Aid on it. You know, it was in a place you just had to wait for it to finally take care of itself.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
Well, you know, we have to get rid of Pence as well, because Pence is an end-timer.
You know, and we need to say to Pence, you know, you're damn right. I want a rapture because I want fools like you off of my planet.
If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
The Jesus guy in San Francisco, when you go down 19th Avenue, the guy with the pink phone.
Okay.
I know you've met him before. I know you've seen him before.
Okay, what about him?
The one that says, when you're walking down the street, he walks up to you with a pink phone and he says, Jesus is on the phone.
Oh, okay. All right.
And he tries to hand it to you, and you're like, wait a second. Now he's walking around with Jimmy Garoppolo's on the phone. You gotta answer.
Finally, you can get hot and bothered on Connections at 10 p.m. Eastern Monday, and by delay Tuesday through Friday at 1 a.m. Eastern.
So, Lizzie, you say you never cheated in a relationship.
Nope.
But you do understand cheating. And I'm pretty sure you may have done that in some way, shape, or form, just not in the relationship. You ever cheat on a test? You ever cheat on your diet?
Yeah, my pregnancy.
Yeah.
I failed. Dang it! It says no.
Last test I took, I failed.
Two tests you don't want positive,
Right.
HIV and pregnancy.
Catch up on all the shows with our weekend flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GABNET. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of The Ramble, heard here and seen here on GABNET, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GABNET laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live, and you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, wait a minute, hold on a second. I hit the button. I have a button here that allows me to fade back and forth, and it wasn't working. There, now it works, see? Okay, there you go. See? It works. It works when I want it to work. Hello everybody, how are you? How are you this evening? Look who's here. That's really splendid of you.
She's here.
She's here.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it is Friday.
And we have a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you have another 3-day weekend. You always have a 3-day weekend.
It's President's Day.
It's President's Day. I see. Okay. Anyway. So there. So how are you?
I'm okay.
In case you've never watched this program before, this is my alleged wife.
Alleged.
I say alleged because we do none of the things that normal married couples do. Like
True.
Last night, we didn't sleep in the same bed together for 2 nights in a row. Mainly because I need to. It's better for my knee if I sleep in the other bed.
That's fine with me. I'm not complaining.
Why are you not complaining?
I'm not complaining because you don't wake me up that way.
Well, you don't. The other night I was going to sleep in the bed, as I have been doing a lot lately. I mean, been sleeping with you most nights. And I went over and I went into the room and you were snoring so badly that I said to myself, no fucking way am I going to get myself into this.
Listen, it never woke me up.
Huh?
But your snoring used to wake me up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not anymore.
That's true.
I don't snore any longer. When I lost all that weight, I stopped
Once in a while,
snoring.
once in a blue moon.
Yeah, but then everybody snores occasionally.
Well, I wear a bite plate, so that's my excuse.
Really? Yeah. I'm in my full communist garb tonight.
I see.
Here's Mao say Obama, and here's my Red Army hat, which I love. This hat, I just love it. We have to go back to China so I can buy more.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, you go to China every year. Just bring me back one.
We have the dates of our new annual meeting, but I hope it's not in Hong Kong.
You hope it's not in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I want to go back to Shanghai, or, I've only been to Shanghai once.
Yeah.
I want to go back there. I want to see more of it.
I loved it in Beijing. I mean, Beijing is a great city. It's one of the world's great cities.
It's huge.
But so Shanghai, right?
Shanghai is kind of like New York City.
Yeah.
Beijing's like
just New York City on steroids.
It's like Washington, D.C.
It is like Washington, D.C. It has kind of a government-y feeling to it.
Shanghai is more artsy and
yeah, and fartsy
and fartsy.
And then you go to Hong Kong too.
Yeah.
Now that's supposedly wonderful.
It's gorgeous.
But it's warm there, isn't it?
It's an island. Yeah, it's. I think if you draw a line, it's either near or on the equator. I mean, it's.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter that I complain about our little relationship, because we don't have one this week or next week, because all you do is sit there and watch the goddamn Olympics.
I don't care. The ice skating is phenomenal. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, but I don't. You don't even. Every time I go in and say something to her, she goes shh. Like you can't just watch it. She can't talk to me for 2 weeks. She's like gone into this cocoon.
Well, it keeps me from dealing with what's happening in this country.
You don't care what's happening in this
country.
Country.
It's going to shit.
Well, what do you care?
Oh, it's true. I'll be long gone by the time it really...
It's not going to affect us, is it?
Yeah, wait until he starts cutting Medicare and Social Security. 1.3 trillion he has to recap because of all the cuts that he gave his friends.
Do you know how much did I hear he got as a tax break?
$11 million.
You got $11 million in this tax break.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Me neither. Why doesn't he say, well, I got $11 million, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Give
I'm
it
going to
back.
donate it.
I'm going to donate it. I'm going to give it back.
Stop it.
What? What? I'm picking my finger.
Stop it. It annoys me.
I know it does.
Stop it.
Look at her. She is just. Oh, this is what a marriage this is. Don't pick your fingers, and don't do this and don't do that. I live a life in fear, ladies and
You
gentlemen.
mean the rubber glue on the side of your bed?
What?
The rubber glue on the side of your bed.
What do you mean the rubber glue on the side of my bed?
All the spongy.
Oh yeah, see, I pick my nose.
Thanks. I mean, really, we have to talk about.
Wait a minute. No, I'm going to talk about this because I've done it since I was a kid.
So.
And
do you eat it too?
No.
Well.
No, but I've done it ever since I was a kid. And in fact, I was supposed to be, when I was in grade school, I was supposed to be on a radio show of quiz questions for smart kids. And I was kind of a smart kid, so they were going to put me on it. But then they decided not to because I picked my nose.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, actually, picking my nose got me banned from the first radio thing I was ever going to do.
I got in trouble for chewing on my pencils.
Really?
On my report card, she wrote, and please talk to her about chewing the pencils.
Well, I used to bite my nails, but I don't anymore because my teeth are more sensitive. So I don't bite my nails, but I do bite my fingers.
I used to bite my nails.
And I pick my nose.
That's why I said the rubber glue on the side of your bed.
Well, what she's saying is that all the snot bugger boos that I have
flip over
onto the side of the bed, and
spongy.
It gets spongy. I use it as a trampoline.
I don't even walk there.
You don't really?
No.
Oh, okay. Because you don't know that I actually flick them over to your side of the bed while you're asleep.
You're disgusting.
In fact, the other night when you were really dead asleep, I actually got a big one and rubbed it off on your back.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So, just think about that when you're trying to go to sleep tonight. Yeah. So, anyway, so how's work?
Hard. I don't know why. It's been very difficult the last since Christmas.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Just
I don't know. It took me all January to make up for December because I was sick. And I'm just loaded down now in February. I don't know.
Yeah, but you also took off every Friday.
Every other Friday.
Before Christmas.
I was sick.
Yeah, but before you were sick,
the 1 week after Thanksgiving, I took off. I wasn't sick then.
Yeah.
The one Friday after Thanksgiving, not the first, not the day after.
But your intention, and I did the same thing, is that it's the end of the year and you got to use up your days.
Yeah, use it or lose it.
So you may as well take Fridays off. And a lot of people do this.
Yeah, I do it.
I did that over at Sirius. I had 4 weeks a year. Maybe I used 2 weeks for a vacation, so I had 2 weeks. It took 2 months. 2 weeks would be 14 days. I could actually take like 2 months, at least a month off without Fridays.
Well, I'm taking every other Friday off to kind of like spread it out.
Didn't I take Mondays and Fridays off?
I don't remember.
So. Yeah. Because it was, and the guy person taught me to do that was Albert.
Yeah.
Because Albert didn't want to have to work when
Albert is in Florida, by the way.
He is living in Florida?
I think they're living at the house that his mother had.
Really? How do you?
Because I see pictures of her in the beach all the time.
No.
They may have kept their apartment up here.
Well, maybe she left him for the beach. I don't know.
I mean, maybe they're in both places, but you really should contact him.
Well, I wrote him on his Facebook page.
No, they don't write on Facebook page. Just send him a fucking email.
Well, no, I sent him a message.
Send him an email.
Oh, can't send him an email. See how she's so bossy.
You're so nose picky and hand picky.
But you're bossy.
Well, somebody's got to be the boss in this family.
You know, I mean, you just get bossy. moo, bossy. Anyway, so, so you've been depressed about the government.
Very depressed. I mean, like, yeah. I'm sick and tired of all this fucking thoughts and prayers. And, get a license, get some training, get insurance, and then you can have a gun. And outlaw the goddamn assault rifles.
I say, first of all, you can't use a gun unless you have insurance.
Insurance and take a test, just like a car.
Yeah.
You know, and then yeah, you have insurance and assault rifles should be outlawed in this country totally.
Well, there's no reason for them.
Right, except to kill.
What you thinking you're going to carry an assault rifle around with you to protect yourself? You're going to carry a small gun that's you can hide on your person.
I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Trump.
Well, no, what I'm sick of, here's what I'm sick of, is every time this happens, everybody goes crazy.
My thoughts and prayers. And it's not that the Congress will say, well, it's too early to talk about it. And then they go into the mental health. They don't even talk about guns.
Yeah, it was his fault because he was mentally ill. Well, but he was mentally ill and was able to buy a gun.
An assault rifle.
An assault rifle in this case. He also had a gun. Remember, saw that video?
Yeah, but he had lots of. His mother dies. His father is dead, and his mother dies, and he goes to live with friends, and they allowed him to bring in his assault rifle because it was one of his properties.
Yeah, it was his property.
His property. They allowed him to bring it into their home.
Bring in that AK-47. But, they're going to now blame the FBI for the whole thing, because the FBI had gotten about 30 reports about this guy. Yeah. People were really worried that he was going to do something, and the FBI didn't do anything about it.
Well, they started to do it, but they never followed up on it.
Well,
and what do you do when somebody says they're going to do something? He's not doing it yet.
He's not, it's kind of like once I said, somebody threatened to kill me. They said, well, when he tries, let us know.
Yeah.
That just because he threatened is not a crime, and it was just,
it's horrible. I'm just sick of it. And if you hear the numbers of whether it's a concert, whether it's a movie theater, whether it's a school, it just goes on and on and on. Yeah, and you have all these copycats.
But what I'm sick of is, like, for instance, our president. Oh God.
Jesus
he gives a speech in the whole thing.
Doesn't even mention guns.
He doesn't mention the word gun.
Right.
Doesn't mention the word gun. It was, if he said it, he'd probably go gun. No gun. And then today the best thing is, this is what our president does.
Did he stop in?
No. What happened was, what's his name?
Pence.
No, the guy who's investigating him.
Mueller.
His group. Finally indicted
some Russians.
16 Russians, I think it is. One of them is a company, and the rest are people. They're never going to be able to arrest them because they're not here. They're in Russia, and Putin's not going to extradite them, right? But they charge them with helping to rig the election. Immediately, Trump puts out a tweet saying,
"See, I told you so.
I told you. There's no conspiracy here." This proves it. No, this doesn't prove anything. All this proves is that a bunch of Russians did this. Now the question is, how complicit were you in it? But he's writing these things saying, see, now I'm cleared. I'm sorry, you're not off the hook yet. This is the beginning, because this is Mueller starting the ball rolling on what is a whole scenario that probably he's starting to see.
Yeah.
So, I didn't do nothing. I'm clean. So that's what happens. So, and also, let's see here. Jeffrey Tambor is off of Transparent.
I heard.
Because...
Allegedly.
Well, Amazon did a 3-month investigation and decided to fire him.
It ran its course, the Transparency.
I got tired of it after the first season.
No, I liked the second season too. Was there a third?
Huh?
Was there a third?
I think there was maybe there was a third season.
I don't know. Anyway, I liked it, but it was enough.
Well, yeah, but he's not going to work again. And it's all because some people see. I don't think he was well liked by the crew. Okay, he was probably like a prima donna, and he was an asshole and all that. And so this whole Me Too thing comes along, and they figure some reason to get rid of him, and they do.
Well, they use it as an excuse.
We were talking today, I and Michael Snyder, about what's his name over at Pixar. Oh God, what's his name now? See, I'm too tired tonight. I can't remember names.
Anyway,
but he was the head of Pixar, and then he became the head of Disney Animation. And they let him go, or they pushed him aside because there were complaints that he was too touchy-feely.
Jesus.
Now, what it was with this guy, in fact, I could find his name because I have Monsters, Inc. here.
Put his arm around somebody?
Autographed by him.
But put his arm around... Stop it, you don't have to look.
Well,
put his
I'm
arm around
some.
It doesn't matter. Put his arm around it. I mean, was that touchy-feely?
He was, how there's some people...
Who just put their arm around or touch their arm.
They come over to see you, they put their arm around you, and they go, hi, nice to see you, that kind of thing. And supposedly that was what he was really guilty of.
Is that really like what some of the others have done?
It
wasn't open your bathrobe and watch me jerk off.
It wasn't like he put his arm around you and then started humping your leg
like
or anything
Harvey.
like that. But it looks like he's going to be out for good at Disney. And I don't know, I mean, did I ever meet the guy? I don't know if I met him or not. But everybody who ever worked with him said he was just a swell guy. He was really terrific. And rumor has it that since he's gone, the whole Disney animation and Pixar have kind of, are now being run by HR, and it's just not the company it once was.
Wow, that's
and
sad.
if you look at the pictures they're doing, it's not the company it once was.
Wow.
I'll remember his name after the show's
It's
over.
always like that. We're at 3 a.m.
John Lasseter.
Yes.
John Lasseter. And so, I mean, a guy who has, I just think that this whole thing about people who, like, maybe they touch you, maybe they come over and they're, touchy-feely people.
That's not sexual harassment, and it's not, jerking off, and it's not forcing, rape.
Right.
And there is a difference.
And he wasn't accused of any of those things. He was accused of being very touchy and feely with people.
They were just looking for an excuse to get rid of him.
No, they weren't looking for an excuse. I don't know. These are some big people in these companies. Now maybe Disney probably could get rid of him because Disney is so big now that they're not dependent on any one person for their income. And of course, the thing is they fire him or they let him go. They haven't let him go yet. It hasn't been announced, but he has not been going to work. And he's been at home. And,
he's using up his leave.
Spending
whatever. Time with his family.
But the rumor is, let's say they get rid of him. It's not really the worst thing in the world because he still has all that Pixar stock and money because he was one of the guys that was Steve Jobs. Well, he started Pixar with Lucas, and then Lucas sold Pixar to Steve Jobs. And now, do you know who the number one stock holder in Disney is?
Jobs' wife.
Yep. She owns, I don't know how much percentage.
Big chunk.
I mean, she's fucking gazillionaire, but I'm sure that Lasseter has a lot of stock, and so they get rid of him. So he's still got a lot of money. He's never going to starve another day in his life. And he did something, let's praise John Lasseter while we can. This is the guy who changed the whole way cartoons are done in this country.
In what way?
Toy Story. He and Pixar Animation invented computer animation. And developed it to the art that it is. When they came out with Toy Story, you didn't stop to think that this was a computer that did it. It was a fully articulated story with fully articulated characters.
It was wonderful.
And as time went on with Pixar, the pictures just got better and better, and the animation became richer. They just did a thing called Coco,
which we haven't seen
yet. Which Coco, the animation is just superb, and it's gotten to the point where I used to love animated films. Hand-drawn animated films. And I look at them now and I go, they were really kind of ancient.
Now.
Because what they can do now, they've taken, rather than just have a computer do the animation, they created a whole art behind the animation. Mm-hmm. And so some of these things are very artful, and you don't stop to think that it isn't a cartoon.
And there's a lot of depth to it, too.
Well, there's 3D.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Well, because all of them are 3D because when you're making the modeling and everything, it is 3D. So I'm too tired to do this show tonight. You want to do it?
No,
I'll just go to sleep.
Nope.
And
It's 10:25.
This coffee doesn't seem to be.
Should
doing
I
it
roll
for me.
over?
Not yet. This coffee isn't doing it for me.
No, I haven't had coffee in 8 days.
Tell them about this.
I don't want to tell anybody.
No. Wait a minute. I was trying to explain it last night, and all I could think of is that there are only two things you can eat: air and dirt.
No, I can eat fish, vegetables, fruit, meat, and chicken. But I can eat salad, but no dressing.
What are you, a rabbit?
I can eat. Well, what I've been doing is oil and lemon, which isn't so bad.
Oil and lemon is barely passable.
Yeah, and then you put a lot of spices in it.
But you can't do coffee.
Can't do coffee.
And this is all because you have allergies.
A major allergy, which is
a major allergy. Yeah. An allergy that is overwhelming. How bad is it?
Bad.
I mean, you always sit here and go, "Oh, I'm itching." But I never can quite ascertain how bad it really is,
Well, it's like an internal itch. You know what I mean? It's like you're itching from the inside out.
Yeah.
It's different than a bite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like from the inside out.
And so then you
can't get rid of it.
You have to shoot up.
Yeah, I give myself shots.
And you went to shoot up lessons, didn't you?
I did, about a year.
They taught you how to shoot up.
Yeah.
And now it's very simple for you, right?
Well, the needle is so tiny that once it touches the skin, it's in.
Really?
Yeah, it takes 2 seconds.
It doesn't sting or anything? No. Wow. Yeah. Well, you could. You're kind of on your way to being a heroin addict.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All you need is the spoon and the.
All I need is for Trump to take away my entitlements, quote unquote.
Well, see, I said this last night, and I've said this before. Do not fuck with our Medicare. We're old people.
That's right.
We have nothing to lose. Right?
Put a vest with bombs on it.
We find a bunch of us who have like a terminal cancer, only going to live like 3 months, something like pancreatic cancer.
And do it.
And say, here's the vest. Just go down and blow yourself up.
Just go into Congress.
We have nothing to lose, Paul Ryan. So, we have nothing to lose. So don't fuck with old people, or we're going to fuck with you. We're going to fuck you up good. Right?
I just hope people come out and vote. The reason why Democrats do so bad is because people stop. Yeah, it's the one beautiful thing that we have in this country. We can vote.
No, the one beautiful thing we have in this country is our SAG-AFTRA insurance.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
What's funny about this insurance is, and we couldn't believe this. We thought there was something wrong. And she even had to reiterate to them today when she was talking to them and ask them, if it's for just me alone, it's $535 a quarter, which is very cheap for supplemental insurance. You'd pay more if you had like ARP or something like that. For the two of us, it's $534. It's the same amount for two of us. And you said to them, what?
I said, I don't understand it. I said, will I be covered? She said, no, it's for the two of you. She said, it's a great policy. She said, welcome aboard.
But did you notice it also said if you had dependents, like kids or whatever, it's still $534.
Wow. She said, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Yeah, well, I just hope that, that it's everything it's supposed to be. But I've heard that our union has good medical care. Well, you talked about it, you complained about it, and now you can.
Now I can roll over.
You can roll over. Here she comes. Watch her go from one frame to the other. Here, watch this. As she leaves that frame, she's coming to this frame.
Here
okay, and then we just go like that. Okay, and move over a little bit here. Yeah, I'm going to open up the lines here.
Good idea.
So that people can call. Let me see here. Where are we? There we go. We're on. Let me also get rid of some things here. I got to get rid of that because I got to have all these people, and I want to get rid of them. There we go. There we go. We're almost taking care of that. I'm doing things here, folks, that I have to do. Okay, so the lines are ready for people to call.
Please call. This girl is tired.
She wants to go.
To sleep.
Well, you can go to sleep, and I can just sit here and wait for the calls to come.
No, I'm being good.
What do you mean you're being good? Nobody said you had to stay around.
You sure?
I'm sure.
You mean it? You mean it?
I mean it. I can sit here and just wait for people to call. By the way, our lines are open in case you want to know.
By the way,
look at that? See it? A lot of people whenever you're on. A lot of people. Oh. Here comes Rob Alfano.
I like Rob Alfano.
Well, of course, we all
love his microphone.
we like Rob Alfano. There he is.
How's it going?
You look great.
How's it going with you?
Good. Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Psych 3-day weekend coming up.
Yes, you too.
Yeah.
By the way,
you guys are going to get snow. We're going to get 1 to 3 here.
We're supposed to get 4 to 7 inches.
Hey, man, I got to wait for both of these people's pictures to pop in. There's Vernon Nunn. Turn your camera on and off again.
He's on.
Rob.
Oh, Rob.
Rob, because you got a little bit shut out by the next caller. Are you there, Rob? Yeah. Okay. Now he's going to do it again. And there you go. Okay. Now we're fine.
4 to 7 inches, and it's supposed to start tomorrow and snow till Sunday morning.
4 to 7 inches?
But the streets are warm, so it's not going to last.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. And it's going to go up to. My brother was telling me it's going to go up to the 50s there on Monday or Tuesday. So
it was 60 today.
Monday we have to have lunch with my business manager.
Thursday we had 75 degrees here.
Get out of here.
So I was outside sitting down smoking a cigar, and then all of a sudden we had a downpour here that was just torrential. And about 30 minutes, and then it was gone. It was like a summer day with the rain. What's that?
Where do you live?
In Virginia. I live in the Shenandoah Valley.
I used to live in Old Town Alexandria.
Talking to the mic.
I used to live in Old Town Alexandria.
Mm-hmm. That's near D.C. I'm about 90 minutes. I'm in the mountains.
Now,
so you're west. You're west.
Where are you, Vernon? You're
right.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Kentucky. Boy. How's the weather there?
Just about the same as what Rob was talking about. 2 days ago, it was 71.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's a crazy winter.
It's crazy.
And everybody is sick.
Look who else is calling. Mark Thorner.
Handsome guy there.
Yeah, handsome Mark Thorner.
He is.
Yeah. He either looks handsome or like Lex Luthor. One or the other. I can't figure out which.
Jeez.
Huh? Well, Lex Luthor wasn't a bad-looking guy. He just had a bald head like you do.
Who's Lex Luthor?
Luthor.
Lex Luthor.
Hi, Renee.
Hi, Renee.
Renee. Hi.
Yeah. No, Lex Luthor is Superman's nemesis.
Rex Rooster?
Lex Luthor.
Rex Rooster.
Renee, let's see your whole
Lex
face.
Luthor.
Lex Luthor.
Try to move your camera a little bit so that we can see your whole face.
I'm going to take you outside in a minute or two.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to sleep.
Good night, Marjorie.
Good night. Good night, guys.
She gets to go to sleep. I have to stay up with these friends of mine and hang out. And whatever. Let me see here.
It's a Phil-free Friday.
It's a Phil-free Friday. Yeah, it was a Thursday free Friday and free Thursday, whatever it is. And it was. It's been okay. It's been fine. By the way, so what do you guys think about the fact that our dear president sends out a tweet today after they say that they're indicting 16 people for campaign trying to fix the campaign, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to, they've indicted them. This is Mueller's people, and he puts out a thing saying, "See, I'm not guilty of anything." And that's not what it was all about. What?
It doesn't prove what he's guilty or not guilty of. I don't understand his correlation.
Because he's trying to say, hey, look, this. Oh, look at that sunset. He's just saying, look, we're really fine with this thing. We were not guilty of anything. Yes, you are, you motherfucker. And they're just setting it up.
Don't what he's guilty of. We'll find out.
Yeah. And the other big piece of news today, what?
Really sad about the FBI.
That's what I was going to say.
It's sad about that because it just, again, it degrades their credibility.
Well, they're in the middle of this whole, hello, Jeff. They're in the middle of this whole thing with Trump with Trump saying how corrupt and horrible they are. And then this happens. In case people don't know what we're talking about, the FBI, it turns out, got about 30 warnings that this guy was going to go shoot somebody, you know, and they didn't do anything about it. Or if they did something about it, they hadn't made enough of a case that they felt they could activate it, right?
One of the shooter's acquaintances called the tip line, the FBI tip line on January 5th, and left a message saying that he was, nervous about this guy, and he said that he was going to shoot up schools and stuff like that, and it just fell through the cracks.
Yeah,
and that's bad.
Well, I get really sick of every time this happens. You said it best last night, Rob. You said it's getting to the point where I just don't care because nothing's ever going to be done about it. So why should I complain about it when I know that nothing's going to happen? And the fact is, we are now so used to the fact that, oh, that's beautiful. The fact that, this has become a fact of life. This is a part of our environment now. And when it happens, we know exactly what's going to happen. The Democrats are going to yell and scream about arms reform, and the Republicans are going to say, "Oh no, he's a crazy person. We got to do something about crazy people," and they'll argue back and forth for about a week and a half till all the bodies are buried, and then it's back to business as usual until the next tragedy happens.
There's not enough wind in the sail to carry it. There's not enough, you know what I mean?
What does it take, though? I mean, you would have thought that how many children were killed in Connecticut, or Rhode Island, rather? Was it Rhode Island, or Connecticut?
Connecticut.
Yeah,
Connecticut, what is it called?
Newtown. I mean, that you would have thought would have been enough for people to say, "That's it. We got to do something about this." But no, even little kids.
No, doesn't. It's not ringing. Even you got Marco Rubio down there. You got a Republican governor.
Yeah,
and they're screaming. They're screaming. Marco Rubio says that if you had tougher gun laws, this guy bought this weapon legally, that wouldn't do anything. That's his And of course the rest of the
a gun that wouldn't do anything.
Thing. Yeah, he got it through legal. He went through his legal way to get this gun, which is what when you talk about a gun law, you're trying to say, you're putting in procedures for people to get these weapons, right?
Right.
So,
right.
This guy got it. He didn't get it from under the back the trunk of a car somewhere.
Right. We're being joined, by the way, by Bob Eberth. Let me ask Mark, because Mark, you're in Florida. What town again? I keep forgetting.
I'm in Naples.
Naples. I should remember it because then I say nipples and we all laugh.
Yeah. All I know is that I have a bunch of lame ducks in the elected government down here as well, and they're just not doing by the right thing. They can scream rhetoric and law all they want. It's not doing what it should be doing.
Yeah.
And what Rob said, unfortunately, is that's unfortunately going to become the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you hate to sound callous. It's not that you don't feel for the families and everybody, but you can't. It's not. If you're not going to do anything to solve it, then it becomes like this morning. I had a 2.5 hour drive, and I always listen to CNN, but I couldn't because it was. You just can't. It's the thoughts and prayers. 15 minutes. Yeah. Everybody they bring on, it's thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. And then everybody says, maybe this time something will happen. Maybe this time everybody's talking about this now. Maybe this time.
Yeah.
And the next guest comes on and it's thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. And it's the same thing. It's, and coming up next.
Well,
heart-wrenching story from this girl who, blah, blah. That's not news to me. I don't know what the purpose of that is. It's salacious.
What they're doing, I hate to be down on the news people because really we got to protect them because they're being assailed.
Yeah.
But the fact is, they use a tragedy like this You know, it's like thoughts and prayers. Isn't it terrible what happened? We'll be back in a moment after these 2 minutes out for commercials.
Yes.
And it's all about selling commercial time. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, my mic's on. Florida, right the day after the shooting, we're going to pass a bill. And tucked in that bill in the small print, about 90 pages in, was a thing where when someone applied for a carry permit, if their background check didn't come back in within 90 days, they would just automatically get the permit.
Really?
Yeah. And they were going to vote on it the day after the shooting.
Did they vote on it the day after the shooting?
I don't think so, because I think one of the Democrats there just made a big stink on it.
Yeah. Now, you know, Trump, his memory fails him, but he forgets that he passed an executive order or something like that that allowed mentally incapable people of buying guns.
They're refusing to release the photographs because they've been asking for the photos of
of him signing. Yeah, yeah. But what was it? Does anybody know exactly what he signed that made it possible for a guy like this guy to go get a gun?
He undid what Obama had put in place.
Oh,
very first thing he did. Very first thing he did was to do that, and then they're all screaming, "It's mental health! It's mental health!" But he allowed them to go. He allowed the mentally unhealthy now to get guns.
Yeah, well, this is a crazy person. That's how we write it off. It's a crazy person. Well, the reason we don't want people to promiscuously be able to buy guns is because there are a lot of crazy people, you know. And yeah, sure, he's crazy. You know, I mean, I just found out that, did you hear today that he's going to plead guilty, which I think probably is not the worst idea in the world. They'll probably go, I don't know, they'll go easier on him and not use as much juice when they put him to sleep through lethal injection. But you know, a lot of times they use the defense, well, he was crazy. And then the state tries to prove he's not crazy. And how can you say that anybody that takes a gun, goes into a schoolroom, shoots 17 people dead, is sane on any level?
Right.
You know, if that's the definition of sanity, then God help us all.
Not only that, he pulled a fire alarm to get the kids to come out into the hallways so he'd have lots of targets.
Boy. He thought that one out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, yeah, sure, the guy was crazy, but still, we made it easy for him to live out his craziness, okay, and to work it out. It's terrible, and here we are, and we're talking about it, and we're gonna probably talk about it a little bit more, and nothing's gonna happen, and then everything's gonna die down, and they're gonna get back to the other news that comes along and bleed that to death. Meanwhile, we're waiting for the next mass shooting to happen.
Every 60 hours.
Every 60 hours, you say?
That's what I believe they said.
Every 60 hours there's some kind of a multiple shooting in this country.
A school shooting.
A school shooting.
How could that be that CNN's not covering them all?
Yeah. Hell, it's easy. They got Skype, don't they? You know, I mean, it's just...
We don't hear about them except for, you know, every couple of months, every 2 months, whatever it is. But if they're every 60 hours, you would think that CNN would probably start a school shooting channel.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, boy.
There's marketing, right? You were talking about marketing to this stuff, and that's what they're doing.
I mean, the only reason I wish Phil were here tonight is because he would be talking pro-guns. Oh, well, you know, the guy, maybe I should play the devil's advocate here. He would say, oh, the kid was crazy, and what are we going to do about crazy kids? That's what we got to work on. Well, I'm sorry. You know, you gave him the ability to get this weapon of mass destruction.
I got a better argument for that. There are crazies in every country, and we're the only country who has this problem.
Well, I will disagree with you to this extent. Other countries have had similar problems, but it's been at the hands of terrorists.
Right.
You know, it hasn't been at the hands of an individual. In the case of the bar in where Miami or where Fort Lauderdale, wherever that bar was, the gay bar, that was a single individual. This was a single individual. The thing up at Newtown was a single individual. That we have not.
Vegas.
We sit around all. Yeah, Las Vegas. We sit around all the time worrying about ISIS, and we don't have to worry about ISIS. We're killing ourselves.
Right, and that's what I mean. We're no one else has this problem but this country.
You're right,
and nobody has this kind of guns besides this country. So you could take crazy and throw it out the window because it's if there's no access to guns, what are they going to go with? A knife? How many people are they going to kill with a knife? How easy is it to really build a bomb to do any kind of damage? How easy? What are you going to go in there with a pipe? Start whacking people in the head? You're not going to get very far. You're not going to kill 17 people before you stopped. So
yes, Bob had his hand up. Bob?
Yeah, I believe Australia and England both had a shooter go into a school and kill children. And what they did about it was they changed laws.
Oh, in Australia, you cannot buy, I don't think you can buy a gun. And there was the Lindt chocolate store where it happened, and it was a mass shooting. And at that point, the conservative Prime Minister of Australia said, "That's it. We got to pass a law." And now you play hell getting a gun in Australia.
No NRA there.
No, and the NRA, God, somebody should shoot them. I mean, these people are criminal. All right, and who was it I saw today? There was some congresswoman, and they were following her down the halls and say, "Why isn't Congress doing anything about this?" And she said, "The NRA has bought Congress."
I heard that. That's right.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio, state of Florida, right?
Yeah.
He is he's considered an A-rated NRA advocate. He gets more money from the NRA.
Yeah. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I watch a lot of news in England because I don't trust our news.
Yeah.
And since they gotten rid of the gun problem there, crazies are going to try to kill people no matter what. So they have problems in London now with knives, people stabbing, and acid attacks. And they're working on legislation to make it harder to get, the type of stuff that they're using to throw in people's faces and stuff.
Yeah. Wow. But at least, you
can't kill as many people with a knife or a
also you can't hurt somebody with either of those things without being close to them.
Yeah.
Here, you could be a block away and pick somebody off. And with an AK-47, you can shoot off how many rounds in a minute with one of those guns?
You could be blind and still kill people.
Yeah. Exactly. Good point. Very good point.
And the worst thing about this shooting is someplace in this country there is a teenager that has watched the death count on that and the injury count, and he's saying to himself, I can top that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what this kid said to this one person who he was doing something online with. He said, I want to be a professional school killer or something like that, to that extent. There are going to be a lot. I'm worried about the copycats now. And somebody going, well, I can do it better than he did it. And I know a way to get away with it. This kid thought he was going to get away with it. This kid after he did the shooting, because everybody was so panicked they didn't even see who was shooting. And he, let me see here, Jerry Montz. Do I know you, Jerry?
Hello.
Jerry, you've never called the show before, have you?
I called about 2 years ago.
Oh, really? Well, it once in a while is fine.
And the reason I felt compelled to call tonight, I listen almost every night, by the way.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
But I live in Coral Springs, Florida.
Yeah.
5 minutes from that school.
Wow.
And what's going on right now with our illustrious president is sickening me. First of all, he came down here today.
Yeah.
And he avoided the cameras. He went to visit people in a hospital, and then he went to the sheriff's headquarters. Nothing public. I'm sure most of you have seen that lady, the mother of one of the girls that got killed. As a matter of fact, she got buried today, who ranted and raved about Trump, just said, it's time for some action.
Yeah.
I want to see somebody explode in front of him like that. But, of course, they're going to protect him, and they'll never let it happen.
He obviously, he is staying away from the press. He's staying away from the public because he is afraid of getting exactly that kind of reaction.
It's a year since his last press conference.
Well, he's got that wonderful shill that stands up for him. He doesn't really need to hold a press conference. Nobody wants to hear him talk anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing,
stupid.
The shop where he bought his rifle.
Yeah.
The guy's afraid for his life right now. He closed his store and he's hiding.
Wow.
I don't blame him.
Wow.
But he didn't do anything wrong, technically speaking.
No. Running a business.
The point I really wanted to make was, this tragedy is going to be a lot different from all the other tragedies. And the reason being, what you're left with is 3,000 14 to 18-year-old, well-spoken, well-educated, affluent kids that are very astute with social media. The pressure to change these laws is not going to stop. These kids are going to solve this problem, and they're not going away.
Well,
and they have a lot of friends.
I certainly hope you're right, but nothing is going to happen if it's left up to the adults. They're going to do the whole thoughts and prayers deal, and then they're going to calm down until the next shooting. And then they'll go thoughts and prayers again, and then wait for the next shooting. We should have learned at Newtown, and now we've had Newtown how many times over happen in this country now? And nothing has been done. And
right where I live, and I'm telling you that 5 minutes from here, we had 49 people killed in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And a few months ago, I'm not sure exactly when, we had a lunatic shoot up Fort Lauderdale Airport. It all happens here.
You guys have one of the most lax gun laws in the country.
Well, I'll tell you, I do have a carry permit. But when I first moved to Florida in 1990, I got my driver's license, and I went to a sporting goods store. I was about, 35 at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at handguns because growing up in New York, there was no such thing as owning a gun. You couldn't have one.
That's right.
So I was just looking. And I said to myself, I could buy anything in this shop. And then I looked over to my left, and I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but there were 3 homeboys. And I said to myself, you know what? So can they.
Yep.
And when I first came down here, I went. I avoid Miami like the plague, but on occasion you have to go down there. I saw a sign on a store. I was in Florida maybe a month. Pistolas $69. And I said to myself, "Welcome to Miami."
Wow. What are you going to say about that? I lived in Texas for a while, and in Texas, you were still allowed to use sidearms. I mean, you couldn't conceal. It was against the law to conceal, but you could literally be packing heat right on your hip. And every Saturday night, we had a rash of killings that would happen in bars with people that got drunk and pulled the pistol out of their holster and shot a few people. Yes, Bob.
I was stationed in Texas when I was in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. And it was quite a shock for me growing up in the streets of New York City and stuff to watch TV when I was living in Big Spring, Texas. And every night they had, every Sunday night they had the violent death count for the weekend.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And in Big Spring one day, I was sitting in the downtown, and this guy comes riding down the street, and he's on his horse, packing iron, and he's spitting and chewing. Right behind him on the next horse was a kid, I'd say he was about 13 or 14. He was packing iron, spitting and chewing. And on the third horse was like a 3-year-old. He wasn't packing iron, but he was already spitting and chewing.
Oh, man.
Yes. Gentleman in Florida. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name.
Jerry.
Yes. So I want to go back to your point about these kids, well-educated kids, well-spoken, social media adept and all that you think that they're going to change the gun laws. Do you think that maybe you're so close to it, you're in this community, you're living it, that it's all heightened? Because here I am, I'm in Virginia, and I see this as no different from any other of these incidents that have happened. And I get there's a passion right now in the community to try to get something done. But really, when you think about it, the numbers, even if it's 3,000 kids, that's 3,000 as compared to 330 million that are in this country. How do you put any pressure on Congress that's bought by the NRA?
I don't remember seeing, like, for example, Sandy Hook. Mm-hmm. The survivors were 5 and 6 year old kids. I don't know anything about the survivors from the Pulse nightclub, but here are kids that lived it, breathed it, videoed it, and survived it. I think they're going to have a lot of influence on what goes on in this country. They have a lot of friends. There's a lot of kids around the country just like them.
But you see, there are how many of them? But the rest of the country, the further you get away from the epicenter of this thing, I mean, where you are right now, you're feeling the probably the sadness is in the air down there.
Well, it is very somber.
Yes. Yeah. But yet, the further you get out from that epicenter, the less it becomes the same event. And by the time you get way out, it's something you watch on TV, which is the same place where you watch, all your other TV shows. Where you watch This Is Us. It's the same place you watch this tragedy.
Yeah.
And we because it's coming through on that tube, we're getting to the point where we have a hard time distinguishing between real life and the phony life that is most of television, because it's coming through that same screen.
You and I, we watch TV. The new generation, I don't even know what they call them. They're not millennials. What are they? They don't watch television anymore. They don't. They have other means of communicating with each other and learning things. They don't watch the news. That's why all the commercials are for medicine. It's our demographic, not theirs.
Yes.
That's part of the problem, though, because where are they getting their news from? That's the problem. See, they're getting their news from sources that anybody can pose as a news source. So there's no vetting of what is real and what isn't real. That's part of the problem.
I could agree with you on part of that, yes. But they know what they want to accomplish, and I think they know how to accomplish it. I've seen quite a few interviews on TV, and I'm impressed that these kids know how to communicate like that, because, I mean, most of the people you see have their head down and they're texting. These kids were actually talking and verbalizing what they were thinking, and they were doing a very good job of it.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not wrong.
I hope they can mobilize the rest of the country, the kids in the rest of the country, and say, hey, enough of this. My high school could be next.
Now, Mark lives in Florida, too, and he's in Naples. Now, how far is Naples from – you're in Coral Gables, right?
Coral Springs.
Coral Springs.
About 2.5 hours.
Oh, so there is a
right
difference
across the
there.
state.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is I know that you're moved by this, Mark, because you're a thinking kind of person. Hi, Kevin. You're a thinking kind of person, but still, you're further away from that epicenter.
But the point is, Alex, is that it can, it's like a lotto. It can happen anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are we going to now teach defensive gun? Defensive driving next to defensive gun work. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have crappy politicians down here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was already telling that.
Bob had his hand up. Bob.
The gentleman from Florida was talking about how all the teenagers were going to go over the internet. Now, I saw something on Facebook tonight. I haven't been able to verify its accuracy, but apparently there's a petition going around that on April 20th, all high school students are going to just walk out of school, and they're not coming back until something is done.
That would be very interesting.
Now, I saw that. I don't know how accurate it is, but I saw it posted on Facebook that a lot of teachers and the students are talking about a mass walkout nationwide.
How effective would that be?
Oh, very.
Well, yeah, but what I'm thinking, my first thought was the parents who don't want their kids staying out of school. They're going to be
sitting in empty classrooms.
They're going to be but they're going to be right-wing parents who are going to make their kids go to school. So they'll be 40% filled. Okay, but
right-wing kids too, right? They're going to be
quite frankly. What I would do is, if I was a parent, I would say that I'm not sending my kid to school, and the reason I'm not sending my kid to school is you do not make it safe enough for him to be there. It used to be that when you left your kid off at school, you knew it was the one safe place they were going to be. And you didn't mind, I once used the joke, but it's true, every day you would leave your kid off to be raised by somebody else for 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day, who you hardly even knew, but was his teacher. But we always thought of the schools as a safe place that you went. And now, what? Do you feel safe? I don't know if any of you have kids of school age like that, but do you feel safe sending your kid to school?
My son is a high school teacher in a different school.
Yeah.
And
do you feel safe about him having that profession?
I do. up until Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I asked him if he keeps his classroom door locked, and he said not usually. I said, well, I think you really should. A couple of those teachers that got killed went out to their hallway to lock the door.
Wow.
From the outside where the key is.
But those assault rifles, would that keep them out?
Yeah, I happen to be in the hardware business. It's what they call a classroom function lock set. You turn the key one way and you unlock the knob or lever. You turn it the other way and now it's locked, but it's always open from the inside. But they've come out with a new style of lock, which is basically the same thing, but there's a cylinder on the inside that only controls the outside lever. You can lock or unlock the lever from the inside without opening the door, and it can only be done with a key. If they would have done that, they wouldn't have had such a tragedy. Here's another little one.
Well, that's something maybe they have to do. When kids go to school now, they have to go through metal detectors and things like that, but that doesn't seem to stop this. But if you made it so that every teacher had to lock the door to the room while that class was in session, it would prevent this kind of thing from happening. Unless, of course, that kid was in the room with the other people. But
or if the guy comes into the school when all the gates are open, when they're getting ready for dismissal.
Yeah.
This happened at like 2:20 and school was at 2:40.
Yeah, and remember he set the fire alarm off to get everybody.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeff, you were going to say that?
Yeah, I was going to say he's put the fire alarm on, so everybody had to open the door and come out. The guy was at least clear that he wanted to maximize the number of kids that he could kill.
This guy's the most dangerous kind of guy in the world because he's a guy who's very clear-headed but crazy.
Yeah.
All right? Clear-headed and crazy is a dangerous combination.
Right.
Because,
and with the maximum bullets.
So, he fired 150 shots.
And in how much time?
I think it was 9 minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes.
Wow.
And he left. He didn't get
no, what I was going to say is he then
mixed with the kids.
He mixed with the kids, left with the kids, and then went down to McDonald's, and then to some other place. I think Subway.
He went to Subway and bought a soda, and then went to McDonald's.
And then on his way home, they arrested him.
Did he just drop the weapon? Is that what he did? He just dropped the weapon when he was done?
Yeah.
He abandoned it in the school.
Yeah.
Yes, Bob.
When he was walking into the school, there was another kid in front of him, and he told the kid, "You better get out of here because things are going to get crazy."
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, at least he was considerate.
To one kid. I just, all I'm saying is here we are, and believe it or not, we got a lot of people listening to us right now. In fact, our main audience now is a video audience, not an audio audience, because I guess it's just easier to get this by video now than by audio. And there are a lot of people out there, and this topic is obviously, because people are listening to it, is registering with them and striking something in their core. But nevertheless, again, what do we do to make sure that next Monday we're still as passionate about this out here away from the epicenter as we are right now? Because I think we do get frustrated.
I think part of the problem you have today is Donald Trump. The news that happens around him changes the subject very quickly. Not only in this case, but in everything. When you start to think about what's happened in the last 13 months since he's been president, the news changes very quick. So this can go away. In fact, they're talking about the allegations. They're talking about the indictments now. They've gotten off the school topic.
Yeah, there's immediate distraction.
Yeah, so that's part of it, is the distraction.
You mean the indictments that were made in the Russia? Yeah. You know what it is? The news is like a dog who sees a squirrel.
Yeah.
Wherever it goes, and that's it. I don't have to say anything any more than that. The news sees a squirrel, and they go chasing it. And they go chasing it as long as the squirrel is running around until they see something else or another squirrel, and they go chasing that squirrel. And that's what news has become, because news is no longer what it was when I was growing up, where a network had a news department so they could point to the news department and say, see, look at what a wonderful news department we have. No, the thing is that they have news now so they can make money. And because they want to make money, they want to keep ginning up stories. And this is just another story. I hate to say this, Jerry, because you live so close to it, but this is just another story they're ginning up. And as soon as something else comes along, they'll gin that up.
There's no shortage of shit going on that our president is stirring up.
And by the way, while they're doing it, they're doing the whole thoughts and prayers deal. They're acting, when they talk about a mother or something, suddenly their voice will go lower. And they'll be, this, and they get dramatic. And then you watch the reporters in the street, and they're all trying to, they figure this is their ticket to the big time. They're gonna.
The music. That's the worst. Is the music.
The music, yeah.
Da, 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 da.
And the slow fade to black.
Yeah, fade to black.
And then
the commercial comes on.
You know what really bothers me is when the network finally decides to title the incident. Like tragedy in Florida. Boom, boom, boom. It's just,
and let's go to the Olympics.
But when are they going to use this wonderful medium they have to really do something about this? I mean, like, the talk we're having here is probably more valuable than anything you've seen on the networks. I'm getting the response from people who are watching it. Because we have a person who lives right there, who is impassioned by what has happened in his community, and all the people here who are incensed by it and saddened by it. But what are we going to do Monday? How are we going to stop this? Paul Ryan isn't going to listen to you. Trump isn't going to listen to you. Mitch McConnell isn't going to listen to you. Who is going to listen to us? Yes.
I'll tell you what, Jerry, if it makes you, I don't know if it makes you feel any better. I got a 12-year-old that goes to middle school, and my gut wrenches every time she walks out the door and goes to school now. This morning was tough for her to go to school this morning.
I can understand that.
It just, seeing this crap is just killing me.
What do you tell her? What do you tell her when she's?
What do I tell her? I made her watch it because I want her to know what to do. I asked her, what kind of drills are they doing? And she says, well, we do one once a year. And I go, why are they only doing them once a year? And she goes, I don't know. We did more in elementary school than we did in middle school. And I go, and the schools, I've gone to the meetings, and in elementary school, I was asking why they had such low gates, and I go, these crazies around here, and this was 2 years ago. You need to start putting up some gates. I hate putting up a fortress around these schools, but it's getting crazy out there. And now we go to middle school, and they're starting to put up gates, and now they've got nice gates, and they've got good secure perimeter around the building, but there's still entryways. And I ask her about drills, and they do 1 or 2 a year, and they've got their code reds and their code blues. And they had a lockdown a couple weeks ago because someone in the neighborhood was loose. But, she said there really wasn't much going on. I said, do you question that? And she said, no, they don't have any. I said, do they have meetings and ask for feedback? And she says, no, they don't. I said, well, you ought to say something. It's not right. And I said, well, next PTO meeting, I'm bringing it up.
Okay, so let's just throw this question out there. And what do we do about it? I mean, we're sitting here, we're talking about around the situation.
First thing you got to do is prepare for it, because it can happen anywhere. I'm at the point where, yes, it'll happen anywhere. If it's happening in Florida, it's happening in Connecticut, it's happening in Virginia, it's going to happen anywhere.
Yeah. But the point is,
and I live in the country. Plenty of these guys out here in the boondocks that love to go out and shoot squirrels, and there's no reason why they won't come down into town and start shooting people. That's all I got to say.
But the first question is, where do we begin? Where do we start? How do we stem this tide? We're not going to eliminate guns. We will not be able to do that. We should.
We have to prepare.
Huh?
We have to prepare somehow.
Yeah. What are you preparing? You're going to give her a little brownie to put in her.
No, you gotta be able to recognize the nuts. First off, try and recognize them.
But here you had the biggest law organization in America, the FBI, who got 30 calls about this guy and never followed up on any of them. Now, I'm not going to blame the FBI. They may have been only doing what they could do given the legalities of it all.
No, they came out today and they admitted it fell through the cracks.
Yep. Yeah. That was a canyon, not a crack.
Yeah. They admitted it. So this is not they did everything they could. They just let this die on the vine.
Wow.
Yeah, and why did that happen? You have to consider, did that happen 6 months ago also, but nobody found out about it.
Yeah.
Well, I believe the police showed up at their house, 30 times? And
30
the mother
times,
and the mother wanted him put away.
Wow.
But you did hear, the question always was, the kid had a mother who died, and this family then took him in. They were friends, I guess, of the family or whatever, and took him in. He came with his AK-47. And they said, well, why didn't you do something about it? Well, we told him he had to do something about it. We put a safe in his room, and he had to lock it in the safe. And I'm thinking, I become a foster parent or whatever to a kid, and he shows up with an AK-47. I'm going to say, not in my house, you don't.
Absolutely.
That was the first sign of stupidity in this whole thing.
Why the hell did they put the safe in his room? They should have had it in their room. And they had the key to the gun.
Well, when I first heard they said, well, we had a safe for him to put it in. And I went, oh, well, they had a safe and they had the combination, right? No, it was a safe in his room that he had a combination to. So what good does that do? You know? So, I mean, it's all insanity. And, we can sit here and we can talk about how terrible it is and how this fell through the cracks and this fell through the cracks. But the truth of the matter is there are 17 people who are dead now as a result of it. And what do we do to make sure there aren't another 17? You know, these are massive amounts of people who died. The ones in Vegas were a massive amount of people who died. You know, the kids in Newtown, actually a smaller amount by comparison to what went on in Vegas. I mean, how do we stop this insanity? And, short of stopping everybody from buying guns, which we could do and we should do, but we won't. We're dreaming if we think we can get it done. And I think if you had a good Supreme Court going right now, you could probably make the case that this is in order to maintain a well-ordered militia, the right of the people to bear arms will not be infringed. Well, it gives you a caveat for why you can own a gun in order to maintain a well-ordered militia. Well, I don't think this kid belonged to any well-ordered militia. All right? And so therefore he didn't have the right to bear arms. But you had a Supreme Court, I think in 1936, who considered it a collective right, not an individual right. Okay? In other words, you had to be part of a group. You had to be a police force, for instance, as a militia, right? Then another Supreme Court came along and said, no, this is what it means. So, that thing's been batted around for a long time. But why don't we just read the words as they're written? And, it's not open to much interpretation. There's a caveat there. There's a reason why you have a right to bear arms, and if you don't meet that reason, you can't have one. But we can't go in and make that case because there's a Supreme Court there that would never vote in our favor. So this is all a matter of politics and getting the right people on the Supreme Court and the right people in Congress and stuff, and then maybe we could start banning guns, but not in my lifetime and probably not in your lifetime.
You got to get money out of politics. It's the only way. Right now, with the NRA and all their money, the only way to stop it is to take the money away so no one's beholden to them anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vote the Republicans out.
But the only way you're going to do that is with a constitutional amendment, and that isn't going to happen with the current Congress.
I wish I could say that this kind of thing that happens because Trump is president, but it was happening while Obama was president too. And
we have a sick society. These kids come from horrible backgrounds. I'd love to know more about this kid's background, broken homes or whatever tragedy and whatever this kid suffered in his life that turned him this way. We multiply that by so many times. Our kids, people who raise kids, you don't need any kind of, you just want to have a kid, or you don't even give a crap if you want to have a kid or not have kids. And then they're selfish and they don't take care of these kids properly, and they live through tragedy and they live through horrible, scarring events in their lives, and this is what how it manifests itself.
That's true.
Yeah.
We pay the price for their.
Did you see what Ted Cruz said today? This was really something. He was somebody in the press asked him some question, and he said, "Well, I blame Hollywood." He said, he said,
Ramble.
He said, Hollywood.
Our governor here in Kentucky blames it on violent video games.
Yeah, but he said that the violence that is inherent in the movies in Hollywood. How dare these people be complaining about this? They're hypocrites. And I went, there's something wrong with Ted Cruz. I mean, there's really something wrong with Ted Cruz. Here comes Mark again. We lost him there for a moment. Let me add him.
Well, it also goes back to what Rob's saying. It's the parents letting them use that stuff.
Yeah.
Or letting the parents, the parents are letting them use those video games, or the parents are letting them watch those movies a little bit too early, and they're getting influenced, and they're not paying attention to what they're doing.
Can't we do something like
scarring them too early?
You know, I mean, it's strange of us to try and come up with a solution here because none of us are empowered enough to do it. But couldn't we start somewhere with like saying, hey, if you own a gun, you have to be insured? Isn't that a good? You agree with that, Vernon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to have liability insurance for that gun, you might think a little differently.
A lot of people might not have a gun because they have to go get the liability insurance. But if you own a car, you have to have insurance, and it's far less lethal, believe it or not, than a gun. Yes, Jerry.
That not having insurance doesn't stop a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
No, you're right about that.
So true.
Just make it harder for people to get them.
They don't want to. They want to make it easier for people to get them.
You know, yes, Jeff.
But got to be a stricter background check.
You have to turn your mic on, Jeff. You don't have your mic.
How about
on.
now?
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, my brother-in-law, he would be against any kind of law that would limit the amount of ability to have guns. Now, I don't even know if he has a gun or not, but certainly if he would, from his Republican perspective, stop making more laws and more things that people have to pay for. It's wrong.
Yeah.
That's his attitude.
Well, isn't there something absolutely sick in this country where where these people care more about their gun? I mean, a literal love for their gun and the ability to have their gun than they do about their children? I mean, that's the amazing part about it. I mean, when you hear people talk about their gun, oh, you can't take this away from me, Charlton Heston, take this from my cold dead hands, and I'm thinking, but your kids are getting killed. Don't you want to do away with that problem? Oh, well, it's not the gun's fault. It's the person who has the gun. Yeah, but, you have a gun, and what's to say tomorrow you don't get a tumor in your head and you go crazy and take out half your neighborhood? We've just put the method of your eradication in your hands. And we've done nothing to stop it. I mean, I hate guns. I've always hated guns. Well, I hated them after the time that somebody stuck a gun in my face for an hour with the gun cocked. He was a friend of mine, and he was a kid, and he was drunk. And he thought that was funny to have a cocked gun in my face for an hour. And finally, after about an hour, I said, that's it. And I just turned around. I said, if you're going to shoot, you're going to shoot. And I just left. But after an hour looking at a gun cocked in my face, I never wanted to see another gun again. I can't even pick up a gun. If you put a gun down here and said, here, feel this, feel the heft on it, I could not pick that gun up. That's how phobic I am about guns. I wish everybody were phobic about guns. They kill. That's all they're meant to do. They're not meant to do anything else. Fuck Trump, fuck Ryan, fuck all of them, but that's not going to bring back the 17 people who are dead in Jerry's neighborhood. Do you know any of these people, Jerry, personally?
No, I don't.
No.
No.
Well, thank goodness for that. Otherwise you'd really, you're hurting enough as it is because it happened next door. But
they're people like me.
Yeah.
My kids are a little older now, but they're just like me.
Yeah. But when you raised your kid, it was a safer time. Jeff?
I know somebody who lost his child in Newtown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are their politics?
Don't know.
I'd be really curious to see.
It's not the kind of thing that you want to start.
Well, I just think maybe you knew them well and
discussion.
You knew they were gun folks, and then suddenly they lose a child. Do they change? Do they suddenly go, maybe guns aren't a good idea?
I don't think so, but I can't say one way or the other.
Wow. It's just the partisan politics in this country, whether or not it, like for instance, what Alex said before about you choose your guns over your kids. It's more about choosing the right over the left. It goes up higher than that, right?
Well, I don't understand. But
politics.
Here's what I don't understand. Why is this a right or left issue? This really should be one of those issues that it's an individual issue, but it's not whether you're right or left. Is there something dogmatic about being right or being left that makes you pro or anti-gun? But apparently, that's the way it goes right down the middle. I mean, if you're going to vote on this in Congress, it's going to be the Republicans are going to vote for guns and the Democrats are going to vote against guns. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. This is a human issue. And so many of these issues we deal with every day are human issues and not partisan issues, but we make them partisan issues. I mean,
they go right down party lines, so they become partisan issues. And if we get a Democratic Senate and Congress, maybe they'll make something happen. If we get a Democratic, someone in the White House that's Democratic, you never know.
By the way, did you see the piece of news that came out that they're starting to release some of the stuff they have on these guys, these Russians that supposedly fixed the election? Tried to rig the election, and one of them was a massive Facebook thing to tell people to vote for Jill Stein.
Yeah,
because
Who
that
goes to Russia quite a bit.
Does she
Who goes to Russia?
Oh,
quite
really?
A bit.
I didn't know that. Really? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Maybe she fixed the election. I don't know. It's. We're living in. Do you think we're living in perilous times?
I think we're in stupid time.
The world is going to hell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it the world? I mean, I guess it is the world. But
yeah,
we're leading the way.
Yeah, we're leading the way. I mean, how this country could go from putting Barack Obama in office to putting Trump in office boggles the mind. Because how do you make that leap from one to the other?
And what's scary is can you go back?
Huh?
What's scary is can you go back? Once you've opened up this can of worms that's President Trump, can you ever go back to having somebody, more traditional in there, or is this going to be the way it goes? Because this is the way to win. So now, whether it's Democrat or Republican, you're going to have some half-cocked nut in there who can speak his mind, because that's what people will vote for.
Right?
Yeah. Who's going to want to go in and clean up the mess?
Yeah. If you can't ever do it.
Exactly.
Well, once the yahoos that voted for him realized that he's not delivering what he promised, those coal mine jobs, etc., I think they might realize they made a mistake. I hope they do.
Well, the coal mines are going to suffer anyway because it's getting less and less reason every year to use coal. And I don't think that can America be bought off by a tax reduction or what they think will be a tax reduction? I mean, whatever tax reduction they got, they lost in their 401ks in the last couple of weeks. So
most of them.
You forgot to mention it's clean, beautiful coal.
Clean coal. Yeah, clean coal.
Well, those guys' new job are going to be building that wall down there.
Well, you know something? I think Trump's wonderful that he wants these miners to go back to work so they can go down there and get black lung disease and die in cave-ins and things like that. Yeah, that's really rather than somehow spending that time, effort, and money to train them in new jobs, in new technologies, so that they can have a healthy life. I mean, these
a lot
are guys.
of them won't take the training because they still believe in Trump.
Yeah, but these guys want to go back into those coal mines and breathe that coal dust and die of some respiratory disease or a cave-in or whatever, because those mine owners, they say they're all for safety, but they got a little place you can go if there's a cave-in, and I think you got 24 hours of oxygen. This is the kind of jobs he wants to bring back to America?
You betcha.
Yeah. I mean, bring back the steel mills and people can get burned to death. Yes, Vernon.
How many of you guys have ever heard of Robert Reich?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And he has since been a professor of public policy at Berkeley. And he is now doing a series of videos on YouTube called Inequality Media. And the latest one that I watched was 20 things that Donald Trump promised during the campaign that he has broken his promise on. The problem is the people who voted for Trump will never watch that video.
Do you remember some of them?
Not off the top of my head.
Because if I remember correctly, Trump's way of campaigning was to promise everything.
Yeah, one of the things that I do remember is that he would get rid of the value. What is it called? The carried interest that the hedge funds have. The hedge funds owners have carried interest. He says we'll do away with that, and we're gonna change the tax code so that rich people like me will have to pay more taxes, and that's the biggest bunch of malarkey.
He just got himself $12 million supposedly with his tax break, and that's an estimate based upon money he claims he has, which I think he lies about his net worth all the time. Did you hear about? By the way, I should get this out here. A couple of little items. Did you hear about this? This Ronan Farrow has a story now. About Trump was at the Playboy Mansion with The Apprentice a few years back, 2006, I think, or through 2008. And he met up with a Playboy model, and he had sex with her. Her name is Karen McDougal, Playmate of the Year for 1998. And this happened in 2006. Supposedly he paid her, or somebody paid her. The National Enquirer paid her $150,000 to keep her mouth shut.
They bought her story.
And they bought her story and then didn't publish it. And that's because the publisher of the National Enquirer is a good friend of who? Donald Trump. Right. And so that's one of the stories that's come out. The other story that's come out is Stormy Daniels, who just the name alone is enough to laugh at, held a shiny gold mini dress she wore to an alleged tryst with Donald Trump in 2006. Apparently all this happened about a couple of months after Barron was born, both the Stormy Daniels thing and this other story. And now she's looking to test it for his DNA. So
she purposely kept it pristine.
It's another Monica Lewinsky deal, where she thinks there's a stain on the dress of Donald's. I can't say it. Spermatozoa. I can't say it in conjunction with the word Donald. It just makes me want to vomit. So those are the two big stories out about Donald today. But.
And Melania didn't go onto the helicopter with them today.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
She didn't get on the helicopter to go to Air Force One. She went in a private motorcade. And they're speculating this might be putting a wedge between him and her.
Might be?
What?
These stories about... I hope it is.
Well,
that would be a story that would be worth watching. Is their divorce proceedings?
Yeah. I kind of there's part of me that feels very sorry for Melania. because she has that look in her face like I'm being held hostage.
She's also
She makes it to
Stockholm
20.
syndrome.
What'd you say, Bob?
She probably has Stockholm syndrome.
It could be. It could very well be. That's a syndrome, by the way, in case you don't know, folks, that people get when they're being held captive. Okay, and then they somehow what's
like that TV series you're watching.
It was what happened to Patty Hearst. Patty Hearst
Yeah.
was a good example of Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
She became friends and then even had sex with and was part of that gang because she felt if she embraced them, that was the way of protecting herself. But Melania, I keep wanting to put out a bumper sticker or something. Blink twice, Melania, if you want out. You know, I mean.
Well, what's that thing where you put the black dot in the middle of the palm of your hand and you can hold that up while passing a police car, and that's a signal that you need help.
Oh, is that what you do? I didn't know.
I never heard that.
I don't think the police have either, so I don't think it helps.
Right.
But you know what we've done, what we have going on here is a morally corrupt, morally an immoral world that's been created by Donald Trump. And I, you know, here we go. Ray Renati is calling too. Hello. So we now have what's called a full house, ladies and gentlemen. It's with me. It's 10 people. And Ray, you've been listening to what we've been talking about, right?
No, I just got on. I was out of the house.
Well, in case you don't know, a guy who's sitting right next to you is Jerry Montz, and Jerry lives about 20 minutes from the school. Where
5 minutes.
5 minutes from the school, even closer.
Oh, wow.
Where the shooting took place. Did you see all of this going on? I mean, did you see police cars going past your house and whatever, or were
when it happens?
Mm-hmm.
Heard a lot of police cars going by, and helicopters all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah, I was listening to the scanner.
Yeah,
I was doing the same thing when this was going on. We were watching the news, and I said to my wife, "They caught him."
Yeah.
And sure enough, 2 minutes later, they showed him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being handcuffed.
What was your take on all of this, Ray? I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I just think that we need to really do something about guns in this country and stop pretending like it's not an issue. We need to, I mean, at a minimum, nobody needs an assault rifle. I know that. And we need to stop allowing the National Rifle Association to dictate what the majority, I think, of these people in this country want, because so many hundreds of kids are killed every year. I mean, you think, I looked at after Sandy Hook, you realize there's been like 400 and something children killed in schools. We don't even know about it. We don't even hear about it, by guns.
I didn't know it was that high, but on the other hand, all it has to be is a couple of kids at one school and a couple of kids at another school before that body count starts totaling up.
Yeah, but there's all these other things that happen. We don't, 2 or 3 are killed, 1 is killed. We don't hear about it. Someone brings a gun to school, kills one.
You know, we've been watching a beautiful sunset on one of our squares here, coming from Hawaii with Renee, and watching the sun go down there, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's what life is all about, is that kind of a sunset.
Yeah.
And yet, there are 17 people who aren't going to see that kind of a sunset again. And I'm not trying to be over dramatic about this or supercilious about it, but that's the truth. Life is so simple. We can make life a happy place so simply. And yet we have a Congress and a president, and we have the NRA, and they're all trying to make our lives miserable. Yes, Ray.
Alex, I think it's time that we start to get over dramatic about it. Like Martin Luther King got over dramatic about stuff. Otherwise, nothing changes. Otherwise, it's just status quo.
But we all get dramatic. We've had this discussion before on this program. The last time there was a shooting like this, and we had a discussion about it, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know what it is. And because it happens so often now, it's also becoming, oh, that happened again? at what point do we just become so numb to it that that is the reason we don't do anything about it? And then I think I think Jerry is right that it's really up to the young people at this point to take the banner on it, because older people aren't going to. They're the ones.
We don't know what to do.
We're at a loss. We're absolutely at a loss, you know. And
we've run out of energy.
Huh? Oh,
we've run out of energy. We need the young kids to get their butts going.
Yep. No question about it. You know. So I mean, but what, you know? So you know, the question of what we do about it is really a moot point, because again, next week the kids are going to be buried. Everybody's going to be buried, and life is going to go back to what it was until the next incident like this. And they're going to get bigger, and they're going to get more violent, because people who do them know that they have to top the one that just happened. So, yeah, and none of this is being, you know, we as I said earlier, we worry about ISIS. This has nothing to do with ISIS. We're our own ISIS. We're killing ourselves.
Exactly.
You know? And I love this kid, you know, when they had him in court, the lawyer said he's very remorseful.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Well, I'm glad he
lost his TV privileges.
I'm glad he feels sorry about it, you know.
He doesn't get to play his video games anymore.
Whatever. Just, you know, and the things people say, like Ted Cruz with his thing today, and the president with his tweets that really said, his speech yesterday where he didn't mention guns once, you know. And then, you know, it's just, I don't know. I mean, what do we do about any of it? It gets overly frustrating. Anybody got a good joke? What?
Jerry, what did he do down there anyway? He said he was going to go visit down there, and he just showed up down at the police department, or what?
Who are you talking about now?
Trump. He went.
Trump. He went
Trump.
down.
Yeah,
he went down there. He said he was going to go visit people, and then he just went down to the sheriff.
He visited people in the hospital, you know, out of sight of cameras, and then he went to the sheriff's headquarters
and gave him all a pat on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and no cameras, and they were probably pre-screened people that he could, you know, count on, you know, Republican yahoos.
Yeah, he didn't go to that lady that screamed her head off.
Exactly, and I was hoping to see that.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
That woman, she buried her kid today. Her kid's funeral was today.
I don't know if everybody knows who he's talking about, who Jerry is talking about, but it's this woman, and she was just one little film clip on the news, yelling and screaming at the camera, Trump, look at what, basically.
Look on YouTube. I can look for it right now.
Yeah, maybe you have the audio to it. She was just screaming, you know, Trump, why didn't you do something about this? This is your fault. I mean, basically that's what she was saying. I'm paraphrasing it. But it was one of those, just, I mean, you could just see that. You know, I saw another thing today. I saw a father who was talking about his kid, a girl who got killed. And he said, you know, every morning she's running off to school and I'm trying to get my day going, and sometimes she runs out of the house and she doesn't even say goodbye, or I don't get a chance to say I love you. And he says, what I have to live with now is I don't remember if I told her how much I loved her before she left.
Exactly. And that got me.
Yeah.
That's just awful.
Now I can make sure every day.
Yeah, he says, now I would make sure every day I would say it, you know.
And I made sure this morning.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, as I say, when I was growing up, school was a safe place to be.
Yeah.
You know, that was the place my parents didn't have to worry about me as long as they knew I was there. It was the minute school was over and I had to walk home that maybe there was a problem, right? Or there could be a problem. But schools were the safest place. And now that it's not a safe place. And quite frankly, Kevin, if I were you and I had a kid of your kid's age going to school, I don't know if I wouldn't start homeschooling.
All day long, I think about it.
Yeah.
And then I watch the news and I have to stand up and walk away from the TV because I watch the damn news too much. And
And Jerry's got a kid who's a teacher. I mean, he's in the line of fire.
And both of my wife's parents were teachers, and it's just Jesus Christ.
I have a 15-year-old in high school.
Yeah, how do you feel about it then?
Well, I used to not think about it, but I'll tell you, I think about it all the time now. Because he goes to a high school where it's like a lot of pressure. It's the #1 high school in California. Kids are committing suicide all the time because there's pressure. And, one of them could go berserk and just blow everybody away.
And you're up in the North Bay, Ray?
Palo Alto. Gun High School.
Oh, yeah.
I found the video.
You found the video. Do you have the audio? Could you just play the audio?
I'll see if you can hear it.
Okay.
I got to put my speakers on.
Yeah.
Don't want to wake my wife up.
Yeah, okay.
Alan.
Hold on a second. Here she goes.
How do they get you security? What security is there? There's no metal detectors. The gunman, a crazy person, just walks right into the school, knocks down the window of my child's door, and starts shooting her, and killing her. President Trump, you say, what can you do? You can stop the guns from getting into these children's hands. Put metal detectors at every entrance to the schools. What can you do? You can do a lot. This is not fair to our families that our children go to school and have to get killed.
Wow. That is pain.
I just spent the last 2 hours putting the burial arrangements for my daughter's funeral, who's 14. President Trump, please do something. Do something. Action. We need it now. These kids need safety now.
Well,
that,
I guess you got the gist.
You didn't even have to show it. It is that is absolute pain. That's a woman who is just feeling the brunt of pain, and it feels as frustrated as anybody does about, now she can't. It's a question she probably asks herself, well, there's nothing I can do about it now, but we have to start doing something about it, and I just don't think we are. I mean, let's go around the panel here. Rob, do you think that there's any reality in us putting an end to this drug, going after this problem?
Not unless the climate changes in government. No,
not unless it changes. How about you, Mark? You were why were you grimacing there?
It's just painful to hear this. My heart breaks when I hear shit like this, especially now. And what more is it going to take? What more?
Yeah. Vernon?
The only thing I can see is changing the makeup of Congress. That's the only thing that's going to change any of this. Mm-hmm. You want to get money out of politics, you got to change the Constitution of the United States so that people are people and corporations are not people, and money is not free speech. Well, the only way to do that now, because of the Supreme Court, is to amend the Constitution. And that starts in Congress. And that isn't going to happen with the current Congress.
Jeff, any comment? What do you think we can do about it? Is there a reality to saying let's do something about it?
Well, I think Connecticut has made some small things. But that's a small state. And it used to be a manufacturing state. And guess what they used to manufacture? Guns.
No, yeah.
And all that gun manufacture is no longer in Connecticut, that's for sure.
Jerry?
Well, we could do a few simple things just to start. For example, this lunatic went in at age 18 and bought an assault rifle, but he couldn't go next door and buy a six-pack. And it makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah.
And he couldn't buy a pistol.
No, 21 for a pistol.
Ray?
He didn't need a pistol, obviously.
Ray, is it true the school that you're talking about that your kid goes to is called Gun High School?
Yes.
Wow.
Gunn. It's named after a guy. His name was Gunn, and he was a person who donated a lot of money to Palo Alto a long time ago.
Yeah, well,
he was a rich guy.
Yeah, well, hopefully nothing will happen there because it would be too ironic.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, is there a reality to us being able to do something about this? And how far do we go? Do we just ban guns? I mean, they do it in England. You know, they do it in a lot of civilized countries in the world. We just have such a love for guns. I mean, for this cold steel. I mean, it's amazing. Is there a reality?
Our love for guns, we are addicted to our guns in this country. We believe it's a right to have guns. In Australia, they had one school shooting, and right after that, they made a law where you can't have guns, and they haven't had one since, I don't believe.
Yeah.
We can't defend ourselves against our government with pistols and these little assault rifles anyway, so the whole thing is ridiculous about the militia.
Yeah.
You know, Alex, San Carlos up the bay, I was curious about this rifle the kid had. I could have gone in this afternoon if I got there before 7 when they closed and bought that AR-15 and the bullets and had them in my house right now.
Really?
I mean, that's absurd. That's
Yeah.
just absurd.
Yeah.
This is a gun that's made for warfare.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's just crazy. I read something today where if the Republicans or whatever just won't allow guns to be outlawed, there is a case to be made for just doing like in airports with metal detectors and everything at all the schools. And apparently we could do it. I think that's ridiculous, but I'd rather do that than seeing all these kids killed all the time.
Why don't we make bullets illegal?
Yeah, or rubber.
No, because
Only rubber.
the Supreme Court, the Constitution doesn't give us it gives us the right to bear arms, maybe, if you want to argue that, but it doesn't give us the right to have bullets.
Good point.
Yeah, Kevin, what's your attitude about this? Is it realistic to say let's do something about it and hope and pray that it's going to get done?
I don't know. I think, there's so many freaking guns out there right now.
Yeah.
Getting rid of them is going to be next to impossible. I say that there's still some reality to if we get rid of guns, only the bad guys will have guns. I still say that there's some reality to that. I think it should be a pain in the fucking ass to get guns. If you're going to get them, if you're going to go buy one, it should take forever to get one. And you should be checked out forever to get one. If you're gonna go buy one, you don't go down to the store, pick it up, and get one. I think you should be checked out. It should take you 2-3 months to get one. I don't care if you're going hunting next week. Plan it out. Let them do a background check on you for 2 or 3 months. Figure out where you've been, what you've been doing. This guy, he was kicked out of school. That should be something they check out. Why were you kicked out of school? What's your problem? Little shit like that should be checked out.
Renee Collins,
make it difficult.
Renee Collins, who basically has her camera pointed at a sunset, has been on the chat here, and she says the NRA should pay for the protection of all schools within the USA.
Yep.
I was going there too.
It's all on the NRA.
Make them, if they're going to be so free with their money with the Congress and everybody else, have them pitch in for, security at the schools, pay for the metal detectors, and have Mr. Trump have his finely inked pen executive order that shit.
Renee also says America's love for guns is stronger than your children's life.
Yep.
You can't compare this country to other countries when it comes to guns, just like you can't compare this country to other countries when it comes to health care. Because those countries have health care, and we can't even settle on that.
And here's a statement from Tom Yamaguchi, and then I'm going to get to Bob Eberth for his thoughts on this. He says, really good program tonight. I'd like to see more like this. I don't want to see more like this. If I have to see more like this, it means there are going to be more kids killed,
and there's going to be more promiscuous use of guns. I hope we never have to do a show like this again. But we will. We will. Don't worry about it. Bob Eberth.
Yeah, it turns out that Walmart is the biggest seller of guns in the country. You can walk into any Walmart and buy a gun, but you can't buy a CD at Walmart that has dirty words in it.
That's my point.
Very good, Bob.
Too
and now,
fucking easy.
That's crazy.
And as we've been sitting here, the sun has almost crested below the horizon in Hawaii, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch, kind of a somewhat calming influence. Renee, can you hear us, or can you talk to us? Or are you just able to chat and that's it? Because I'd love to have your thoughts on this. But I guess I'm not going to get them, but I'm getting that sunset. Isn't that gorgeous? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there a way to make it bigger on your screen?
I can do it, but the problem is it then puts all you people on the bottom, so the crest of the sunset wouldn't show up large. That's the problem. Otherwise, that would have been a very calming influence tonight. But it's just somehow that sunset is extraordinary because there were a lot of clouds in the sky as well, so the light was playing off of them and so on.
If you click on the image, it'll enlarge to full screen.
On your computer.
Yeah. If you double click it.
If I double click it here, it will do it too. But the trouble is that all of you will be along the bottom, and that
but
will.
Any one of you can click on it, and it'll enlarge on your screen.
Yeah.
Oh, not mine. Maybe it's because I have Windows. All right.
Well, Windows probably should do it. I would imagine. Yeah.
Okay.
But.
Oh, there we go. You're right. It works.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So cool. I mean, this is a discussion that I'm glad we've had. She says, I can, however, I'm on another computer, says Renee. Okay, well, Renee, those were good things you said anyway, so I'm glad I repeated them here. This has been an interesting program, and I don't know. We got about 2 minutes left, and I don't know where to bring it to an end, except to say that we got to do something. This is it. This is clutch time. But I can't believe that there aren't some good Republicans out there who will help pass a law. That there are people out there. I can't believe there are Republicans out there really buying this shit. And it isn't a matter of Republican, it's a matter of right or left. It isn't a matter of your constituency and whether they're going to vote for you or not. If they're dead, they're not going to be able to vote for you. So, something's got to be done here. We've got to suddenly, say to ourselves, it's time. It's time to take this bull by the horns and deal with it. But we're not, and that's a major problem. Anybody got any
kid-centric?
What?
This world is so kid-centric.
Yeah.
Really, we cherish our kids. If this is the perfect fuel to start this, but it's not as important as money and politics. That's where the low line is drawn.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
That's the unfortunate part.
Anybody have a last word here that they want to say at all? Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. To begin with, first of all, Vernon Nunn, thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it. But yeah, can you do an SOS or is that illegal? Help us, please. Help us. Mark, thank you for calling tonight. You're always a blessing to this program. Jeff Stein, you as well. Jerry, please call more. You made this show tonight because you were right.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad I finally called.
Ray Renati, always good to hear from you.
Thanks,
and Ray Alfano, what would I do without you?
Rob.
Rob. What I said, Roy.
Close.
You know what it was? I said Ray.
Ray.
I said Ray, and then I went
Ray,
to Rob, and I mixed the two together and said Roy. Rob, what would I do without you? You are Rob, right? Renee, thanks to you and the good Lord for the sunset. She's waving goodbye. Bob Eberth, always good to hear from you. And of course, Kevin. I always feel like Santa's in the house, okay? Everybody, a big wave goodbye so they can all see it. And thanks for joining the Citizens Panel tonight. That's it for our Citizens Panel for tonight and for this week. Boy, we ended with this was a good one tonight, and I thank all these people for having helped us with it. The Citizens Panel was extraordinary, okay? Just absolutely extraordinary. Next, it's The Intersection with Jack and Amy, and right after that, at 1 o'clock, it's Connections from Florida, and then, on Tuesday, we'll be back again, but before we do it, 9:30, it's Damien with The Exchange, and then I'm on at 10. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.